Okay, so I think let's hop straight into our first topic, which is living as an expat. I think it's an interesting topic for potentially people who are interested in becoming expats or who are just interested with the idea. Being an expat it's leaving everything that you know at home. It's leaving whatever your friends and your family, the things you like to do over the weekend, your favorite type of food, people who speak common language with you. It's a lot, I think the living as an expat oftentimes is idealized as going out there and having this international adventure, but there's a lot of lonely days. There's a lot of days you're just missing being able to talk to someone in your own language.
Laundry days, man, those are the worst.
I know, right?
Those are the worst. That's when you miss home, like, to the max.
Yeah, especially if you're from Pakistan, everybody does the laundry for you.
I thought it was like a magic trick.
Yeah, it's like you close the cupboard and then open it and there's the...
Yeah, I had this magic table. I just throw everything and it's clean the next day.
Yeah, I hope your mom watches this.
Cut this part.
So, I think you can maybe start us off with what do you think are the... What do you? Let's start with the positive. What do you think are the amazing things about living as an expat? You can focus specifically on living as an expat in Dubai, because I think that in particular has a lot of key advantages, and just in general.
I think one thing it does, it puts you out of your comfort zone, like, to the max. So you're not in familiar territory, right? So you have to kind of basically put on this brave face. You got to do things you haven't done before, figure out things you haven't done before, and that takes a certain type of character to begin with, and it builds a certain type of character. So I think you become far more prepared to face life and its challenges as compared to someone who's kind of just been around the same people. And it also opens you up in terms of exposure. You meet people from different races, backgrounds, so you learn a lot. So I think you're a bit more, your horizons basically expand, like, massively, which is something you wouldn't be able to.
It's I try to tread on this topic very lightly, because obviously I never want to offend anybody who decides to stay at home, because it's honestly my personal belief that the people who stay at home are the ones who build the culture of your ethnic group or your whatever. They're the ones who have roots, who have families, who make your country function,
and they take on the challenges of their countries.
Exactly, and exactly a good point. I ran away from the challenges of my country because I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it. So it's
and let's face it, we do move to countries that are better off.
Yes.
Right? Majority of us.
Yeah, I mean, we could, that's probably another debate for another time, because sometimes it's worth fighting for your country, other times it's worth letting your country feel the hurt so that hopefully it can rectify itself. But let's get into that another time.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a long topic. So I think what is amazing to me is that there's so many things about the world that you don't even realize until you're in an international environment, things that you just doesn't even click that exists somewhere out there, and true. You don't know anything about it. And when you're in an international environment, it expands your mind tenfold, man. Meeting people, that's why I in particular find an amazing advantage of being an expat in Dubai in particular, is meeting people from everywhere. I'm convinced that, I mean, Singapore is considered one super huge cosmopolitan area, but I think maybe New York would vary.
Maybe. I think I would say I'll put it with London, New York, Dubai.
Yeah, because Dubai, I mean,
it's just diverse.
Because remember, New York and London, you still have a lot of local people. So every third person you're going to bump into, every second person you bump into is going to be a local.
And even if they are from somewhere else, they still were brought up there, or they've like 2 generations down, 3 generations down. So they're not exactly from their country. So for example, you have British Asians, but then here everyone's an expat, like,
and that's
the
amazing, man.
Expat city of the world.
That's really amazing, and I mean, I literally have friends from countries I did not even know existed before I got here, and that's incredible,
amazing,
man. You really get to learn just so much from interacting with people from different cultures and languages and everything. So that to me is definitely one of the advantages of being an expat in Dubai. What would you say are the costs, if you had to dig into them?
I think the cost is you do have a minor identity crisis. So you are in a place where you don't belong because you're an expat, so you're not a citizen, you're not I mean, you're not a national of this country. But then at this level, like at least in my case, if you live this long, you go back, you don't really belong there. Like that's a strange land to you now as well, where you don't know your neighbors,
Yeah.
you don't. So now you're kind of stuck in this limbo where you don't know where you are, but you kind of do as well. So it's like, I think that would be the con, where if someone was to ask you, like, you know, what culture do you represent, you're kind of like mixed at this point.
Yeah.
So, and then that feeling does kind of sometimes make you feel like a bit ungrounded,
Like alien, yeah.
alienated. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. I won't say, I mean, you've been an expat for far longer than I
Yeah.
have, so I still have a lot of ties to home. But whenever I go home, I think one of the most interesting things for me is when I think of a place that I spent a lot of, like in Pangeni, that's my house. I mean, that's where I spent most of my childhood.
Right.
And I go to that town, and I have so many memories in that town. I mean, I spent like 10 years of my life there.
Yeah.
And then I go back there, and I'm like, everything is like different. And this building's been demolished, and it almost, it's like it's a weird feeling. It's somber and it's kind of sad, and at the same time, it's like this is just
How life is.
yeah, this is just how life is. You know, you.
But do you feel like it's the places that make you remember, or the people? Like
Yeah.
I feel like people are a big part of it. Like places
Of course.
can change.
No, I mean, of course. But I think just as humans, we tend to tie our
With
emotions to a
a
place.
location, yeah,
You know,
that's
I
true.
mean, I see a street, I'm like, oh man, I remember when I went. Even though my friends are
Yeah.
one's in another part of the country, and another one might not even be alive anymore. And I'm just like, man, I really remember those memories. And so I think it's a part of it. And you know, I think the weirdest thing for me is when you get older. I don't know if this is just maybe a me thing. Maybe because I played so many video games when I was growing up. But you know, you always think that there's so much time. You always think that there's so, you know, you're going down this route, you know, if it doesn't work out, you can just go this route.
You
And
can
the
restart,
older I get, the older I get, the more I realize, like, damn, there is a ticking clock, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the most cliche thing to say, but that realization is very real. It's pretty scary.
That's true.
So,
I think especially if you have a family, once you have a family, then that freedom kind of limits you. So then you'd probably think twice about moving around.
So you know, this is the thing, is a massive cost for me of being an expat. I've had a pretty crap year in terms of family situations. The last 6-7 months have been pretty crap, and you know, I just think I haven't really been able to be there for my family.
That's true.
And you know, these are questions that you need to ask yourself if you want to be an expat, or if you are an expat. It's like, what are you doing? On one hand, especially because you know, South Africa is quite a poor place, I'm financially in a position that I can really help when it's needed, and that is really great, because money is obviously one of those things that if you don't have it, it's detrimental.
That's true.
And I can really help where it's needed. And that,
I mean, you don't have to be in your country to help your country. That's another thing.
But on the other hand, you're not there there to help your mom move the weekend that she's going to move into a new place. You're not there to help your friend after a breakup. You're not there for these integral parts of the people that you love's lives.
That's
and
true.
those are things that really matter, you know. And you can't, it's hard to quantify these types of things. I mean, when I was going through my breakup, when I just arrived here, it was hard, dude.
Yeah.
I was in a new country. I touched down, and then I broke up with my ex broke up with me, and I was like, geez, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I got nobody to talk to. I got nothing that looks familiar. It was hard, the hardest time of my life. Made me a man, but still, it was a
rough
And that's
period.
when you realize just having proximity, being able to go and hug somebody, being able to sit down late at night and talk to somebody that you care about, that loves you. It's, you know, that's when you
matters.
realize those things matter.
Like, you know, I have friends who have lived in Dubai same time as me or less than me, and they've quit their jobs and gone back. And their reasoning was that all we ever do is think about back home, so it doesn't make sense for me.
So yeah, I mean, some people
do choose to go back.
Some people have that you know, using the words of Dr. Jordan Peterson, have that call to adventure.
Yeah.
You know, and that's that there's something out there that's calling them, the unknown that they want to go and explore. And then you have other people who are really just comfortable being at home, where they know everyone, where they're comfortable, where they have family.
Yeah.
And you know, it takes all of these types to make the world go.
So would you think it's a con, that having that adventurous feeling, that now let's say you live 5 years in Dubai, now you want to move somewhere else because you have that constant.
No, I mean, if it's I mean, we need to switch topics now. But we, you know, to end off this part, you intrinsically gain a lot of value and wisdom by switching places and meeting new people.
Right.
That I think allows you to add intangible value to the people around you.
Right.
You pick up pieces of wisdom from people all over the world, especially if you come from one country and that country does a lot of things wrong, and all you ever see are the things that are doing wrong. You will never be able to determine, like, okay, this is actually not right. You know, and if you contrast your own culture and your own upbringing and your own discipline and your own everything to a number of other societies, and you're like, you know what, these guys are doing this well, and these guys are doing
pick
this
the best
well.
of
And it's like, okay, so they're doing this and they're doing this, and it's the same thing, and they're both successful. Obviously, this is a good characteristic. You know, like, for example, discipline.
Yeah.
You know, the way you raise your kids. You can compare it to Asians, who I think are they probably the most successful when it comes to the kids are really diligent in school, they're really well behaved, all of these things, and you compare it to other countries, especially Western countries, where the kids are really misbehaved, and you know, you can kind of understand, okay, this is good, this is good, this is not good. So yeah, I think that you there's a cost to pay for everything in life. This is something my dad always tells me. There's a cost to pay for literally everything in life, but you're receiving something for what you pay.
It's give and take kind of relationship.
I hope that you enjoyed that snippet out of Couch Conversations. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to watch the full video, I will link it down in the description for you. Thanks for watching. Back in the studio.